You know, folks, I'm a big one for low-hanging fruit. And to me, there's no more low-hanging fruit than making putts that matter. And my next guest, Briston Peterson, is going to help you with that very simply. Briston, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Good, Mark. How you doing? Thanks for having me today.
Of course. I mean, like, well, look, for the folks watching on YouTube, if you're listening on audio, go to YouTube. I've got these two very cool markers in front of me. And these things are game changers and they will help you get yourself aligned to make more putts. So before we get into that, though, Briston, let's get to know you some. Tell people about who you are and how you came to this very cool venture with On Point Golf.
Sure. Yeah. So who I am, my name is Briston Peterson. I'm the founder of On Point Golf. My primary job is I am a general contractor that builds high-end custom homes in Aspen, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
And I'm anywhere between a 5 to 8 index as a golfer, very avid golfer, belong to a couple clubs, have the luxury of traveling around the world and playing golf,
Mm-hmm.
and figured there had to be a better way to mark your golf ball on a green. I wear prescription glasses when I play golf, and I had a tough time reading a flat coin or a poker chip, and basically between myself and a buddy of mine, we were spitballing around and said, we got to come up with a three-dimensional ball marker. And that was the genesis of On Point Golf in about 2019.
And it's going like wildfire right now, especially because of one Jim Furyk, but more to him in a second. You talk about the three-dimensional nature of the ball marker, and I'm holding it up here so people can see. You see, it's kind of rounded, so it sits off the green, which makes it easily visible. And then it does have a detachable marker that's magnetic that fits into it. To me, it's fascinating, and I just want to know from you how it works, because when you and I first talked, you like it, you see it easier. It helps you align the ball if you use that on the green easier. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go and try it. And lo and behold, when you set this thing down on the green and you aim, because there are lines over the top of it, when you aim it from wherever you are, it just seems like it's easier to see. So I'm keen at the engineering and how you guys came up with this idea.
Yeah, so how it started is when I read a set of blueprints in my day job, building custom homes, there's two line weights. There's an X and Y line weight, but I have the ability to see three-dimensional spaces on a flat set of blueprints.
Gotcha.
And so when I look at a green, I'm like, okay, we have to come up with a ball marker that has an XYZ axis, three-dimensional ball marker, that immediately can approve your engagement with the hole, your distance between your mark and the hole, process called spatial acuity,
Yeah.
and help improve with alignment technology. And the beauty about On Point is you don't necessarily need to be a line putter, i.e., put a line on your golf ball, which so many manufacturers are doing today, but it gives you an immediate point of reference. A great quote that Jim gave me is, Jim has won 17 times on the tour and he's won a major and a lot of accolades. He said, Briston, if I would have had this ball marker when I was younger, who knows how many more tournaments I would have won. And that really set the bar on saying, we really came up with something here.
Okay, I went and gave this a test ride a few times, folks. I don't play golf very much, but now in the fall I am. And here's the thing. First off, okay, I will say this is completely user information, because you can detach the small marker from the big one, because the big one, because of its three-dimensional nature, could, be in someone's line. So you can go to the small marker if need be. And I got to tell you this, Briston. So ball markers in a pocket are a thing of a golfer. And somehow when I dropped just a coin into my pocket, these two found each other and connected. And so I'm like, this is so simple to use, because ordinarily, like our poker chips and stuff, they're just too big. But somehow this, in a weird sort of a way, is quite streamlined in how it fits together without you even trying to put it back together.
Yeah. So what you have there is one of our top sellers called the Oreo.
Yeah, it's a dark.
But on the bottom of that coin, bottom of the dough marker, I should say, is a 28 millimeter coin. and it's engaged with a magnet.
Hmm.
So you have the ability to not only read a slightly larger coin, that in the event you are in the way of another player's mark or line, because as you know, under the rules of golf, technically I could walk up and mark my ball with a pizza tray.
Yeah, exactly.
But you would say, hey, Briston, that pizza tray is bothering me. That's when, under the rules of golf, you have to mark your ball with a coin-like object.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually sent our product to the USGA, had it tested, and the USGA came back with compliance that said approved for use according to the rules of golf as defined by the USGA and RNA. And that was a big game changer for us because now all of a sudden it was approved. It can be used in tournament play. It can be used in league play, championship play, all different types of tour. And that was a big momentum changer for us as a manufacturer and as a product.
Okay, to get into the mechanics of it now, because for the folks watching and for the audio folks, this is basically if you had to cut off, I would say maybe an eighth of a golf ball, and you're seeing the rounded edge. It's got dimples on it, so it's like you're feeling the edge of a golf ball, and it has a line through it. There are various models. There's one with 3 lines, there's one with 2 lines, and I'm holding up the singular line. And there are different color lines. This one's green. I've got a red one. Here's the thing, and maybe this is user, but I want your advice here, because this is again me using it when I just played 9 holes for fun. It takes care not just to throw it on the green like most folks and go, okay, I'm going ahead, because I'm basically just marking space for my ball. And then you said to me that Furyk said to you that, if I'd had this thing many moons ago, I would have won countless more events. So there is a discipline to it. And I'd like you to talk about that, because I feel like good putting starts with the discipline of taking good care with alignment. I mean, is that basically the premise here?
Yeah, exactly. Mark, as you and your viewers know, putting is about line and pace.
Mhm.
And if you're more confident in your intended line, then you have to focus on your pace, right? So our product is a product that you can incorporate into your putting routine.
Yeah.
That there's a term in sports called marginal gain. And
Mhm.
if I'm using this product and I'm playing a match with you, and you're giving me 8 or 9 strokes or whatever you're doing, I just created marginal gain over you by the use of technology into my putting routine.
Mhm.
So the way I use it, when I hit the ball on the green, the first thing I do is I look at, am I playing a match play? Am I playing a 4-ball? What's the case I'm doing? I look around, I see where my opponents are, and there's something called ethics in golf,
Right.
where you want to make sure your mark does not interfere with the play of others. And if I'm confident my mark does not interfere with the play of others, I walk up to my ball and I look, is it a left to right putt, a straight putt, a double breaking putt? I put my on point marker down with my intended line.
Start line.
And now I have an immediate point of reference
Mhm.
and I have immediate point of focus with a 3-dimensional ball marker as opposed to a 2-dimensional ball marker.
Yeah.
And usually us amateurs, our initial read is our best read. And usually for amateurs, they try to emulate what they see on TV, right, with pros. And they're looking at their mark from all different angles and all, from behind the hole, from behind the ball, from the side. If used properly, this technology can not only help you improve and have more confidence with your intended line, but it can also help increase the pace of play.
Yeah.
Right now, all of a sudden, the player is engaged with a 3-dimensional modality as opposed to a 2-dimensional ball marker, and you're going to have more confidence in your intended line, and you're going to have more confidence in a process called spatial acuity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the distance between your mark and the hole. And the more you can build that confidence when you put your ball in play, now you also just need to focus on your pace.
Yeah, the spatial acuity thing is a big deal, and I will say I noticed that because again, as you look at the dome, the the segment of the golf ball, as you look down at that, it's almost like you're looking at a ball and then to the hole versus just a coin on the green. And this coin has actually come from the inside of the ball marker. I want to
Correct.
say this too, because, in my experiences, and now it's been proven with people like that are using aim point as a green reading mechanism, that golfers largely underread putts, or as another descriptor, they don't respect slope enough.
Yeah.
And when you put this down on the green, like you say, okay, if I'm in no one's way, I can put down the entire marker. So I've got like almost two balls lined up next to each other. And then you can start to imagine that line. So it sets one up visually and to basically just aim so much better if you're using the line on this marker.
That's correct. And when you think about reading a green, right? When you're reading a green, you're starting sort of with a wide angle lens, right? And you're zeroing in. You're looking at the overall break and the terrain of the green, and you're starting from a wide perspective, and then you're focusing to a very narrow, very specific perspective. And if you think about what's happening in the golf ball industry, a lot of the golf ball manufacturers, they're putting alignment technology on the ball now.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine the technology that you see on the putter head, technology that you see at on the ball, we fit seamlessly between the putter head and the golf ball. And this is a space that nobody in the history of the game has really focused on. And we own the three-dimensional space between the putter head and the golf ball. And that's a very powerful statement when you think about how many rounds of golf are played around the world.
Again, it's just low-hanging fruit to start more putts online. And that, like I say, is the truth. I mean, reading greens is one thing, but starting the ball on your read is entirely another. And this
Correct. Yeah. So if you look, one of our top brand ambassadors, top teachers is a gentleman by the name of Nick Bradley. And if you were to go to our Instagram feed, onpointgolf.us, you can see how Nick uses the analogy of aiming like a sniper, and how to, start from that wide ankle lens, and really focusing on your intended line and being like a sniper when you're hitting a putt, and having more confidence in your intended target and your intended aim.
Very cool. Okay, I want to ask about the two colors here, because they are various. If you guys go to the website, you will see it's not just white golf balls. There's the Oreo, which when I first saw it, and this one looks like an Oreo, it's dark with a white line through the middle of it.
Yep.
And for the global audience, if you don't know what Oreo cookies are, you're missing. Anyway, but they're dark biscuit with white, icing filling inside. Fantastic stuff. But then you also have versions that where they optic yellow and optic orange. So you can almost, if you play with a colored golf ball, you can match the two so you get that spatial dimension. I want to ask first off about the inspiration to go from just the whites to the Oreo, because when I looked at this one first off, I'm like, well, that's freaking cool. And I just want to use that. But as I experimented, honestly, I gravitated towards the white one. So I don't know if that's personal preference, but I'd like to know where the inspiration for the Oreo colored one came from.
Yeah, so the Oriole is just the inverse, right? And some people just visually, through spatial acuity, again, that they like to see the inverse orientation. So the genesis of the one in your hand is, most players mark their ball if they don't buy a ball with a pre-manufactured alignment technology built into it. They use a Sharpie. A fine tip Sharpie. And most Sharpies are either black, blue, red, or green. We did sort of an empirical study on, what color Sharpies do golfers mark their balls with. And excuse me. Then when you start thinking about where golf ball manufacturers are going, right? I probably have about 70, 80 different SKUs that I have not introduced into the market, where you look at, where TaylorMade's going, where Titleist is going, clearly where Callaway has gone with their 3-rail, with their triple track technology, right? When you look at where not only the golf ball is going, but where also the putter head technology has gone. right? If you can imagine the technology either on the putter head or on the golf ball, we have a variety of SKUs in our backlog that that fits seamlessly between the putter head and the golf ball. But what I don't want to do is at this stage confuse the market, and we really just popular and manufacture what I'm going to say the most obvious brands that resonate with the day-to-day golfer.
The cool thing about this too, and I'm so badly wanting to get some on the mark ball markers as well, these on point ball markers, because they can be like you can. There's this one's got a club ball logo on the back one, and this Oreo has the Whisper Rock club on the back of it too. There, so you can see how the ball you can personalize these things for businesses or for clubs or whatever. Yet they've got the two-dimensional aspect to it, to the coin, not the outside or the dome of the golf ball. I think that's such a cool feature because, you know, in the era of stamping golf clubs and getting your name on stuff and names on bags, you know, for someone who's got the means to have your own ball markers made and then kind of give them away or whatever the case might be, this is the sweetest little autograph to leave with people or business contacts or whatever the case might be.
Exactly. We do a lot of customization with our 28 millimeter coin. And the reason we went with a 28 millimeter coin is that you can actually read the coin slightly larger than a typical A-head coin or a coin that you would take out of a divot tool. Easier to find in your pocket, easier to read on the ground, but it also allows us to, yeah, it also allows us to customize it and put more detail. The two clubs that I sent you, I'm actually a member of Aspen Glen and a member of Whisper Rock in Arizona, and we've made custom units for both facilities. But we get a lot of customization requests, and if you can imagine any corporate logo, any charity event, any club championship, any logo of a club around the country, around the world, we can drop that onto the bottom of the coin. And we can also do that with our packaging, whether we're doing clamshell packaging or whether we put them in a nice custom velvet bag. We can also put the logo or the brand right on the bag, and we've been doing that for a couple of years now, and it's been very successful and well received in the market.
Surely has. Okay, you know me deep down. I'm a golf teacher, even though I'm on television calling shots and hosting podcasts and stuff. And so I want to take this and sort of leave the listeners with maybe a Jim Furyk-ism, because, you know, the one thing about Jim is I know him, the guy leaves no stone unturned. And that being said, he has a wonderful way of simplifying this very complicated game called golf that we can play because people can overthink this thing. And I'm sort of gravitating towards the discipline of using this, aiming it appropriately, aiming your golf ball around it, then aiming your putter, and then doing your thing and trying to roll the ball down that line. Has Jim shared any sort of insight or any sort of nugget to proper putting that you care to share with the fans around the world?
Yeah, so Jim primarily uses the product for his long putts.
Okay.
Where he and you can see a couple tutorial videos, both animation tutorial video and a live video that Jim created that's on our website, onpointgolf.us. And when Jim actually, interesting story on how Jim and I connected is in 2019 is when he really brought the product out, and he used it when he finished second to Rory McIlroy at the Players.
Yeah.
And how we got to Jim is a very interesting story where a good friend of mine, his name's Ray Benjamino, lives in Jacksonville, and at the end of every season, Jim puts on a tournament for 24 of his good friends called the Jack Leg, and he's been doing it for years. And somehow my good friend from high school gets invited to this tournament, and unbeknownst to me, Ray had a couple of my prototypes.
Okay.
Jim gets paired with Ray. Jim goes up to Ray and says, "Hey, what is that?" Ray explains it, says, this is an idea my buddy came up with." Jim takes the product, says, "Hey, do you mind if I have a couple?" Ray doesn't tell me. Jim goes out and goes to a PGA official and asks, "Is this permitted for use?" PGA official basically says, yes, Jim, you're allowed to use it. Jim goes out and uses it. And the first time he uses it is when he finishes second to the Rory at the Players. After that, we end up structuring a business deal, and the rest is history. But how Jim uses it is primarily on his longer putts when he has the time and discipline to look at a 20, 30-foot putt.
Mhm.
And it helps him engage with his intended line. So then when he focuses on his intended line, he makes refinement to his line. So when he puts his ball in play, he actually transfers the knowledge that he gained from his mark to his ball, and then incorporates that. And now he's just focused on pace of putt.
That's so cool because, you know, it can be sensory overload at times. And most times with the lion's share of the golfers watching this thing, they are consumed by, well, don't miss, as opposed to roll the ball down the intended line, whatever the case might be. And
Yeah.
you know, as your Jim Furyk anecdote, you share that, you become all of a sudden less concerned with what might happen and more concerned with, hey, just roll this ball down the line. I mean, I can't tell you how often me as a golf announcer, and we get a close up of one of the PGA Tour pro lining up the ball on the green without your ball marker, incidentally, but they sort of lining this down on a coin or something. And then they aim the putter, and then you get the close up of the ball that's rolling with that Sharpie line you talked about, end over end. And then it gives one the sense, if you hit the ball like that and the ball's rolling cleanly, that, you know what, I actually hit a good putt, even though it might have missed.
Yeah.
And there's something to that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple top pros that we're talking to, and one of the things that I wish Rory would have had an on-point marker when he was looking at that that last putt that we all know about. But it's just having more confidence in your intended line and transferring that into the execution of your putting routine. And I think the more you can do that, the more successful putter you're going to be. And as I said, golf is a component about marginal gain. You know, do I have better golf shoes? Do I have a better golf glove, a better shaft in my driver, a better putter head? Do I have better clubs, better technology? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, as we all know. And what amazed me is, you know, I'm just a general contractor, is the deeper I dug into this thing, nobody focused on the space between the putter head and the golf ball. And that's a very valuable space, because what does everybody do in the game? They all mark their golf ball on the green.
Yeah, and you know what, and you jog my memory, because I'm fresh off the of giving lessons today on the practice tee, and the one gentleman, good golfer, like a 7 handicapper or so, I joked with my wife when I got home. I'm like, I feel like I give the same lesson to him all of the time, because habit tendency is a thing. And you know, the good news from the last lesson to this one is he was doing better with what he had to do, but the miss was traveling in a different direction because of some faulty body alignment. This is in his full swing.
Yeah.
Said to me, he goes, you know, alignment's something I've always struggled with. And I'm like, yeah, when the target's 250 yards from you, it's difficult. But at least with this thing, we can get it correct over 20 something feet and
Yeah.
high chances of success to your marginal gains.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the stat is putting is about 42% of the game of your strokes, plus or minus. And so anything that can help or give you more confidence with your intended line and your distance control as well. So it's not only line, but it's also distance control. The more you have time to engage, you know, what is my distance actually between my mark and the hole and your intended line, the more confidence you're going to have. So, you know, there's a lot of strokes, as we know, that can be won or lost in a tournament, an event, in just a $5 Nassau. And you know, I can't remember what the average stroke was last year on the PGA Tour, but it was a 6-figure stroke, the calculations we did. And the more confidence you can have, the more you can improve your winning or lower your score. And it's everybody's goal to lower their score in golf.
I figure you got ahead of me there, because that was the perfect answer to what I was going to, my next question, which was, All right, what do you say to the naysayers where they're like they got their lucky quarter from 1973, their birth year, or whatever the case might be? But you're right. If you're prepared to change and then you're prepared to be disciplined enough, this is so worth your while, folks. And I'm not paid to say that. So
Yeah.
so let's help people. You've shared the website. Direct people again, please, Briston. Tell them where they can go, where they can find these. Maybe
Yeah.
can they
So
get them into their clubs and stuff like that?
yeah, so the best immediate location is onpointgolf.us
Mhm.
is our website. You can also go to golf.com. You can go on Dick's. You can also go on golfballs.com or go on Golf Nation. We're in a handful of online e-commerce locations, but our website is the best location. We do all of our fulfillment right out of here at Colorado, where I'm based out of. And if there's any customization that you're looking for, there's a direct link to my email and our customer service email on the website. And we can turn around in 24, 48 hours a digital mock-up for any special customization you're looking for. Custom orders, depending on the size and scale of the order, can take anywhere between 30 to 60 days for delivery after proof of purchase and deposit payment.
Fantastic stuff. You know what? Changing the world, low-hanging fruit with something as simple as, a segment of a golf ball with a marker underneath it that's very easy to use. Briston, I can't commend you enough. I'm all for holistic improvement in golf. I'm all for making this complex game, as simple as possible. And you're well on your way, and you're doing so
Yeah.
closest to the hole. I always advise aspirant young golf teachers and learners of the game to start to learn the game close to the hole and then move farther away. Heck, this is a way you can kind of guarantee and learn to aim properly, as simply as just putting a mark down on the green properly. So I
Yeah.
commend you guys. Well done.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mark. What it is a lot of our teachers that clearly understand the technology are actually using this for some people just literally starting the game of golf, right? Yeah. And how to understand about what an alignment means, what about spatial acuity means, and all those types of things. It really helps not only just young amateurs, but professionals alike. As I didn't share with you, but we've had other players on the Champions Tour. Jadi is using the product. He won for the first time on at Pebble this year using the product. Ken Duke has won using the product. Ken Tanakawa won using the product up in Canada this past year. And I'm noticing your shirt there, Municipal.
Yeah.
One of the players I'm really trying to get on our team is Wyndham Clark. And I hope to get him on the team eventually.
Well, he's a Colorado boy, so maybe there's a natural in there. Hey,
Yeah.
appreciate you. Keep shining with this thing. It's tremendous. And thanks for letting us know. I love to introduce things like this to our audience, and I appreciate you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on today, and look forward to staying in touch.